Welcome back, APCSA students. In this video, I'm just going to show some of the code for strings. This is the second in a two-part introduction to strings. We're in our Unit 2 using objects, and strings are indeed objects. If you feel comfortable tinkering on your own and you feel confident with the string methods that we discussed, this may not be necessary for you to watch, but if you want a little help with the tinkering process, that's what this video is for. So I'm just going to go ahead and run, and then I'm going to walk through the code and, let me clear that, that'll make it better. Walk through the code pieces and the corresponding output to it. So to begin with, let me see, I did, okay. So to begin with, here's my initializing and declaring three strings, three string objects. As we saw, the one example I don't have one here where I'm assigning the value of another string. So for example, string 4, if I said string 4 equals string 1. So some of those were in the examples, but I've created two strings using what looks like primitive syntax, and then I've done one with the more formal object type of syntax. I've also put under this long one, I've put this little comment so I can keep track of the index values for it as we have this discussion, remembering that we started index 0 and that this 0 right here is actually representing 10, and this 0 right here at the T is representing a 20. So I have my three string objects. And I go right into some concatenation examples that I can see down here. So this first one, keep in mind all these concatenation examples are using string 1. So string 1's never going to change here because I never said string 1 equals something new. So it is word up. So if I take word up and I add a 5 to it, or concatenate 5 on, then I'm going to see the word up 5 here. For the next one, remember that multiplication happens first, so in the order of operations, so I'm going to do 8 times 5 is 40, and then I will concatenate that on to word up, which gives me a string result that looks like this. And the next one, I'm not going to do this math addition first, because order of operations, we go left to right. So this would happen first. So that will be word up 5, and the result from that is a string. So then when I go to try and do this, it's not going to be mathematical addition. It will concatenate on the 999. So following the order of operations is important for these concatenation examples. So if I intended to have added those two values before I concatenated, then I can put parentheses around the value, and then I will indeed add the 5 and the 999 to get 1004, and then that value will then be concatenated on to word up. Had I done this, had I rewritten it this way instead of this on line 22, then moving left to right, this is the first operation to happen. The 5 and the 999 are numeric literals, so I am going to add those two. So if I can add, I will, but if there's a string present, I'm going to concatenate. So I do the addition, this is 1004, and then I concatenate with that value with the string and get a final string result. I didn't make any mistakes in here in terms of if I were to then try and multiply this by 8, it might compile, it won't even compile. So Java knows that the result of what came before was a string, and that I can't multiply strings in Java. Let me clear that and do it again. All right, so that's some concatenation examples. That takes some practice. So some of your practice coming up will be on you going through that process yourself to make sure you don't get caught by doing math when you should have concatenated, doing addition when you should have concatenated. Okay, so this is just demonstrating using the length method to see the length of the specific string. You can see string 1 here, string 2 here, string 3 here. So I'm asking for the length of those 3 individual objects. So keep in mind this method, I didn't pass anything to it as a parameter, right? But the object, when we have these objects being attached to the method, the information about this object does go with it. So I'm asking for the length specifically of string 1. String 1 was word up, its length is 7. String 2 was the 1, 2, 3, 4. Its length, it's got 4 characters in it, and they are actually index 0, 1, 2, 3. Here is my the index values of string 3. They go from 0 to 21. That means I actually have 22 characters in there. So that can get a little tricky. So that's just showing the output from those method calls. The next examples are just showing some index of. So these are all doing the index of with string 1, these with string 2, and these with string 3. So keep in mind that string 1 has the value word up. String 2 has the value 1, 2, 3, 4. And string 3 is that long one. And we'll go back up. And let me copy it. It's just nice to be able to have it on the screen with us when we're working down here. So you might be saying index of, index of, index of. It's important to know what string you're trying to find the index of this thing in, and that's going to be whoever the calling object is. So in the first example, it says go find the W in the string and give me the index of it. So the W is right here at index 0, so that's where we get this 0 from. The next one says go find this 2, 3, 4. I want you to go look in str1 for 2, 3, 4. So Java goes along and it looks and it's other and it's I don't have 2, 3, 4. So that's when we get the -1. The -1 is the indicator that it's not found in str1. For the next one, I'm looking in this value of string 2. That's the current value of string 2. And I'm looking for 2, 3, 4. So it looks at index 0. It does not find it. It looks at index 1 and it's like, oh, I might have it. And then it indeed finds the exact match here. What it returns is the index value of the first character. So in this case, the 2 in the 2, 3, 4 is the first character in this and this. And it finds that beginning at index 1. So that's where we get the 1. When I say go into str2 and look for the value 9, it goes along, it does not find it, and we get the -1 on output. For the next 2 examples, I'm using str3, that object variable. And for the first example, I want to find an O. And the important thing to notice is that there's lots of O's. There's 3 O's in here. Java will always return with this particular method call, it will return the index value of the first O that it finds. And the first O is at index 1. So once it finds one, it returns, and that's it. For the next one, it is finding the index of a space. I just want you to see that syntax. So this is different than if I ask for this. This wouldn't make sense. Let's say look for nothing. It says look for a space. So this is index 0, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first space is at index 5. So you'll be asked to do both. You'll be asked to give the output of this. You'll also be asked to write these statements to give certain output. So understanding how indexOf works. So think of it as, I have a string and I want the index of this thing in the string. The index is an integer. It's going to return an integer. All of these are integers that it's returning. So then I have some substring examples. So substring says, give me a string. Give me a piece of the original string. For this first one, so again, we've got these same values. I haven't changed them. There's no equal sign for any of these strings if you look in any of the code. So nothing's been changed in these string values. With all these questions I've asked, with all these things I'm doing, the only way to change the string is to give the name and then an equal sign. And I don't have any equal signs. So this says, start at index 2, 0, 1, 2. Okay, that's here. And go up to index 6 and give me everything in between. I don't get the thing at 6. So in the prior video, I mentioned that you can subtract these two numbers. 6 minus 2 is 4. This says, give me 4 characters starting at index 2. So this is index 2. That's 1 character, 2 character, 3 character, 4. So I get the RD and the U. The P is at index 6. I don't get the P at index 6. With substring, it is overloaded, so you can pass it one parameter, one argument. If you pass it one, it says start at that index, so that would be index 1, and give me everything all the way up to the end. So that's why we get everything all the way up to the end. It's a nice one to remember for everything up to the end. For this one, this is index 0, 1, 2, 3. I don't have anything at index 4, but that's okay, because remember, I don't get the thing at index 4. I stop before that. Give me 4 things starting at index 0. There's your 4 things. It also happens to equal the whole string, right? So it's kind of a silly example, but there's nothing wrong with it. This one says start at 0 and give me everything. Okay, well, that's going to be the same thing as that. So it's a shorter way to write it, though. This says start at index 12 and give me 3 characters. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and give me 3 things. And there they are. The O at index 15 doesn't come. That was telling you where to, that was O's holding up the stop sign. This says go to index 7 and give me to the end. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and give me to the end. Just some reminders at the end here. It's a concept that is hard to remember and to grasp, is that all this stuff I'm doing with strings. So this is just print out str3. And str3 is just, whoa, you can do that. Here I substring it just like I did before. And I substring it again. And I print it again. So the first time I print it here, I get this. When I say just print the substring, I get this. When I come down here to line 60 and I say print str3, notice that it's still fully intact. That substring did not change it. Here is where I change it. Not only do I substring, I reassign it to str3. I could have reassigned it to a different variable, but I reassigned it here. So now when I go and I print str3, indeed it's been changed. That's the end. Do some of your own tinkering and happy code.